you need to wake up. There's a number of people here that have different backgrounds. So if you come here as a hacker, could you do me a favor and stand up? There's no hackers here? Come on. Stand up, please. So that everybody, there's a reason behind it. So, come on, Mr. with the hat, you're a hacker. I can recognize you. Stand up, please. Is there only that much hackers? Okay, there we go. Pull your neighbor up as well. Okay, the people that are now standing are the hackers. Now, for the other people, these are the geeks. Okay, so people, you are geeks. Now, please sit down. We also have a number of scientists out here. Now, could you stand up, please? Chop. Marlon, you're a scientist. Get up. You're a scientist. Absolutely. Actually, we have a number more that they're just loafing in the coffee shop. Now, the people that are standing up right now, plus the people in the coffee shop, they are the nerds. Okay, so geeks, meet the nerds. Nerds, you know who the geeks are now, right? In the audience, or in the room where we'll be later, we'll have a separate area for the geeks and the nerds. The area for the nerds is in the back. The area for the geeks is around the tables that we've got laid out. But don't stick to the geeks only, don't stick to the nerds only. Go meet these people. Because we've got a number of ideas for you, because what you're here for is to try and develop something for agriculture. Food security, as Dr. Tolentino mentioned to you this morning. Now, we've got a couple of ideas for you, but I'd like to stress that if you have your own ideas, that we welcome you to try out your own ideas. We do not want to stop you from doing anything. So, I'm just going to really quickly go over some of the ideas and tell you what we think you can do. There's one really, really big idea, and we are totally aware that nobody is going to be capable of doing this in a weekend. And this idea has to do with the fact that we are using this hackathon to announce a contest to optimize one of our rice models. I'm not going to go into details about a rice model. It is written in a programming language that I bet none of you know. It's called Fortran. It's for old people like me that used to work with very large computers and punch cards and all that stuff. And our problem is that we cannot find any people that know Fortran anymore. Right? Well, we still need that rice model. Well, here's a Fortran expert, we're lucky. But we need to have this model changed. We need to have it updated. We also really, really badly need it to run much faster. Because you remember maybe from Dr. Tolentino's presentation that he mentioned satellite observations, optimizing farmers, field crops, etc., etc. In order to do that, you will not maybe believe this, but we have to run this model billions of times. Running that model billions of times is going to cost a lot of money. So we need to get this model optimized. There will be a little blurb on your table with background materials. You can download the model. There is going to be, Dennis, are you in the audience? Dennis, you didn't stand up when we say scientist, so you're half scientist. Dennis is half geek, half nerd. So Dennis knows a lot about IRRI 2000 and the mechanics on how to run it. We will have some of the scientists in the audience that you can ask questions. Again, I do not expect you to optimize this ginormous model in a weekend, but you have the advantage of being able to look the scientists in the eye, ask them questions, get an introduction to computer modeling, if you so desire. Now, Smart was offering 500,000, or the idea space, you were offering 500,000 pesos, right? Now, we are not as rich as Smart. But what we do is we offer you 200,000 pesos if you should be able to optimize IRRI 2000 by 100%. Now, The way we measure that, you will never be able to win 200,000 pesos, because that would mean that Horizon 2000 would run in 0 seconds. But if you make it into 0.000 and a bunch of more zeros, 1 second we'll round it off and we'll give you 200,000 anyway. $5,000 is actually, so it's inflation proof, although that could work against you with Obama being re-elected, but we'll see. That's one of the things. Now, if you walk out of here, back to the hackathon venue, have a little look around. There's this thing that we have called the Rice World Museum. I don't like that word, but it's a learning center. We have about 50,000 people come and visit us every year, most of which come from schools in the Philippines, but there's also people that come from other countries because they are interested in rice research. Have a look around, you know, just make a little detour from your coding efforts, and you'll see that there's all sorts of artifacts, there's displays, etc., etc. Now, many of our visitors, actually more and more, come to these to visit our Rice World with a mobile phone. If we were to put the complete background of every single item that we have in a Rice World on a big poster, we wouldn't have enough space to put all the posters. So one of the ideas is, have a look at what you could do with a mobile phone and Rice World. Maybe we stick a little QR code, or if you're into Google phones, an NFC tag, or a barcode at every item, and you create a little app where you can just point your phone at the display and you get the background of the display. I'm sure that you guys can think of a lot better things to do with it, so think about that. Now, next thing that we have put in our portfolio is data entry. We have, as you know, a bunch of scientists. These scientists rely on data, and a lot of that data is actually observed out there in the field. Believe it or not, I'm almost ashamed in saying it, but a lot of that data is still being observed using pen and paper. Because a rice field is not a very friendly environment for a laptop, if you know what I mean. It's muddy, it's wet, or it's sometimes dusty, etc., etc. So our scientists would love to use things such as iPads or Android tablets or whatever, but there's not any good data entry routines for these tablets. There's a little bit of a blurb in there. It contains such things as integrating pictures that you might want to take with your tablet as part of your data entry, GPS location, making templates for particular experiments. We got a couple of folks that actually work in this area that will be with us this afternoon. They are people that work with data entry all the time. Talk to them if you were interested and get a better idea. Now, who views into games? There's at least 2 people. Well, the rest just didn't hear me. Most of you will be into games. The diva of rice research, as I always call him, Dr. Randy Barker, is here. And Randy and his colleagues have been doing computer games way before you guys even were probably born. Randy works with a game called Rice Grow, right? It's called Rice Grow. Written in actually before the 1990s at a university in the US, Dartmouth. And this game is still very valid, but the only problem is it's written in BASIC. BASIC is not a really user-friendly computer language. For example, the game asks you, would you like to start? And then you have to type yes or no. Well, nobody in their right mind still play a game where you have to actually type YES or NO. Because you type Y, it says, I'm afraid I don't understand you. So, this game is screaming for some updating, you know what I mean? It doesn't really have to have fancy graphics or video in it, but man, you could do something with that game. I bet you that even in this weekend you could do something with that game. Dr. Parker, Randy will be here.
But tell you what the purpose of the game. What's the purpose?
Randy is also able to tell you what the purpose of the game is. I'm not going to do that here because I promise not to stay an hour, remember, Randy. But let me assure you that rice farming is not as easy as you think it is, as you think it might be. Rice farming is hard work.
It's risky.
And rice farming is very risky. And it's the risky part that is highlighted by the game. Things like typhoons that appear out of nowhere, rats that come around the corner, pests that come, wrong fertilizer that you've put on the field, etc., etc. Randy is the rice grow master, the Yoda of the game industry in rice, so he will tell you everything that you want to know about it, and more. We also have a huge amount of books. You will actually be sitting in what is normally the IRRI library. We modified the silence sign, and then we actually urge you not to be silent. We've also put a couple of loudspeakers in with some music. We have tons and tons and tons of books. We have tens of thousands of PDF files. We would like ways to have these literature resources be accessible to our scientists much better than to have to go through each and every one of these PDF files. Our library staff has volunteered to be here this weekend. Lea de los Reyes, I don't know if she's probably having coffee, where you will find most of the IRRI folks. She'll be able to help you out with that. The other team that's here is the team with Nutrient Manager. IRRI has its very own rice application. It used to be an Android application. We moved on, and I saw a guy in an HTML5 shirt. Where are you? Where's the guy in the HTML5 shirt? But there's also a guy, okay? Or you change shirts in the meantime, I don't know. The game is currently done in HTML5. They just recently changed it. It's ready, but we'd love some people to have a second look at it. How can we make it jazzier? How can we get basically an opinion of somebody who's not stuck in, as stuck in the research as we are, but is much more coming from the outside. A very valid thing to do when you develop an application. The other thing that we'd like people to have a look at with our NM Rice application, our HTML5 application, is to build in a feedback loop. What do you think of the application? Did it help you as a farmer or as a farmer extension agent? It's a difficult word for somebody who works in the field helping a farmer. Have a look. Marlon, please stand up. Again. I'm keeping you busy today. Marlon and a couple of his colleagues. Your colleagues are not in the room. There's PJ waving. Marlon and PJ will be able to help you out with that application. We also have, if you want to do research, you need money, because this stuff isn't cheap. So we have Duncan McIntosh. Duncan is our Director of Development, and Duncan would love, is in desperate need of some help in making some applications to get this institute more money to do more research. Now, Duncan has some examples of similar activities that other people have done, and some ideas, and he's going to present them briefly to you.
Thanks, Mark. I wanted to take that one. I think I'm the last one. Am I the last one?
Yes, I'm going back.
Okay. As Mark said, you're here for the science and to make a difference in the world with what you do, feed everybody, but everything that IRRI does has to be supported by money. And that, as Mark said, is what I'm really interested in. Some of you might have seen this. How many of you know freerice.com? Okay, a really outstanding example of a simple online game developed by an organisation we know well. It's called the World Food Programme. And if you know the World Food Programme, their job is to bring emergency food to distressed communities. After a drought in Africa or a flood in Thailand, the World Food Programme. To put it simply, IRRI's job is to put the World Food Programme out of business. If we do our job well, when they have a drought or when they have a flood, there'll still be food. But one thing we like about this is the simple nature of it. And I think, you know, if we could, what we want is a simple game, a simple way for people to interact with rice, the importance of rice, and be motivated and engaged enough through the online application or the game to stay engaged with the subject of rice and understand its importance. Free rice, if someone had come to me 3 years ago and said, I'd like to use English grammar as a way to engage people online and raise money for rice, I would have just said, you've got to be joking. But if you know the success of this game, it's extraordinary. The amount of money it's raised to feed people and to engage people. It's quite an active area. Here's another site that you may be familiar with, Play to Give fundraising. It shows you the potential of what we're talking about. We're not talking big donations, whether it's 100 pesos, whether it's $5, whether it's $10, or whether it's someone just contributing ideas. What we're interested in is to build a community of people who have an awareness and an interest in what we do and keep them engaged. And personally, and this is my last one, and this is a terrible slide, but I'll use it anyway, it made me think of Angry Birds as an enormously successful game. And out there in the rice paddy, as you can see from these pictures, is an enormous ecosystem of good insects and bad insects that battle every day over the rice crop. And it's a great way to educate people about what happens in that rice paddy that you look at every day, and to understand really good things about the rice paddy and the rice farm that exists. So I put it up there just to give you an idea potentially of what you could do with an app, a simple game that people could play. We always looked at Farmville for a while. I've been interested to see the popularity of Farmville go up and then come down. But it's one example of the sort of application or game that we can maybe use to engage people. And of course, what you develop, and this is a really important point, what you develop here in the Philippines is universal for Asia. Because if there's one thing that defines Asia as a region, above politics, above religion, above anything else, it's rice. And that it doesn't matter whether you're from the Philippines or Thailand or Sri Lanka or Japan or Korea, rice is a really universal concept in Asia. So we believe a great app and a great game built around this can have a really powerful impact if it's done well, right across the region. So I'll be here today, really happy to talk about it. My colleague Chill, if your turn to stand up, please. She's also here to talk about this idea. If any of you are really sort of interested to have a think about it and build something on it. That's it. Thank you.
Thanks, Duncan. Had something of Obama, no? That speech. No matter whether you're religion, whatever. I don't know who watched the Obama acceptance speech, but well done. I'm going to finish with the least nice part of my presentation, the house rules. We have some, I'm afraid. One of the house rules is related to the fact that you are currently in an operational, I should say, agricultural research organization. We have crops in the field, we work with hazardous substances in our labs, we have all sorts of limitations in security. So, unfortunately, it is not possible for us to allow you to do as you normally would like to do, is stay in the venue all night long. At 1 a.m., I'm afraid, if there's still people there, we're going to have to ask him to go to the hotel, because our security people cannot accept the risk of having you here later. Now, this is not to protect us from you, this is mostly to protect you from us. Think about that one. Another house rule is that we have networking. Now, experience with previous hackathons showed that you guys like a lot of bandwidth. And thanks to Smart's sister company, PLDT, we have quite a lot of bandwidth for this weekend. We have 155 megabits per second piped in for the weekend. That's a lot of bandwidth. However, you're only going to see, because I'm sure that some of you have already tested, you're only going to see 3 megabits per second on your own machine. That's because we throttle your bandwidth. So even though it looks like our connection is only 3 megabits, it's actually 155, but we divide it equally among everybody. We would also like to keep some of it ourselves, because we do have, as I told you, an operational research organization behind it, and bits are flying out of this place and into this place all the time. So 3 megabits is all you get. If the bandwidth runs out, we'll press the reset button. We got our staff on site for that. You know, a torrent or two is okay, but take it a little bit easy on the downloads. Coffee is available all the day. If you want normal coffee, it's available outside of the menu for free. If you want cappuccino, latte, other designer kind of coffee, it's also available. Our coffee shop is open also until tonight. They also sell all sorts of sandwiches and snacks and whatever at your disposal. They will also be open tomorrow. Dinner will be served later on. We'll also postpone start of dinner, shall we? I'm kidding. I know that you can't do that. So, you can have dinner at the advertised time, again in the same place that where you had lunch. Don't forget to wear your badge. Your badge, by the way, should be worn theoretically all the time, because that tells our security people that you are a hackathon person. Final, and according to some people, most important part of the house rules is the music. We are not professional DJs, we're basically agricultural research specialists, so we don't really know. But I'm sure that some of you have your own playlists with you, etc., etc. Feel free to share. Feel free to plug into our sound system in the venue, and if it's not too contrary to most other people's taste, we'll gladly play some tracks from your own playlists. I'm going to be quiet now. There's going to be a little bit more from Paul on the mechanics of the hackathon, then we're going to hopefully get cracking, because it's about time. I hope I took less than an hour. Oh, yeah, okay, you can't have a hackathon without Twitter now. The hashtag. The hashtag is IRRI-BIGAS, with one S. Okay. I think that actually, would it work with two S's? Would you still find it if you look for the one S? Well, you could try, but the official one is with one S. IRRI-BIGAS. Okay. Paul, do you have any further instructions? Sorry?
The hackathon mechanics.
The hackathon mechanics, that's what I mean. Paul's going to do the last bit.